So in recent news, it came out that Kawhi is having surgery on his knee again. And as soon as he comes out with saying that he's getting surgery on his knee again, what do you think happens? People want to have the conversation of whether he's overrated. No, this is why I have the jersey on, and this is why I had to write down this nigga's stats and give y'all a storyline of what happened. People from Stephen A. Smith to Rashad McCants, just a whole bunch of people that have not followed Kawhi Leonard as a superstar because he doesn't talk and because he doesn't do interviews. People like to bash his name. People like to talk down on him like he doesn't deserve all the accolades and all of the respect that he deserves. But the truth and the reality of the matter is he is a what-if player. If he can stay healthy the whole year, his team can go to the finals, his team can be successful. If he is hurt, if he is not healthy, then you don't know what will happen with his team. He is a what-if player. Kawhi is my favorite player, but I'm going to be honest. At times, I'm going to be biased. So I'm going to be real. But Kawhi is a great player, and he should be respected. He's not overrated. If I'm being honest, he's underrated. You know why he's underrated? Because there are people that see his stats, they see what he does on the court, and they still try to find a way to look down on him. Kawhi is a superstar, but he's underrated because he doesn't talk enough. It doesn't have to do with his health, and it doesn't have to do with him being available. People don't like Kawhi because he doesn't act how every other superstar acts, and that is the truth. People don't like that. He gets to just play the game and get off the court, and when he's hurt, he doesn't play. But when he does play and he's healthy, people give him that respect. But he is supposed to get that respect. He is a 6-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA player. In his rookie season, he was on the All-Rookie team. He's a 2-time Final MVP, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and he has 2 rings. All of that alone, that is the reason why he was on the NBA 75th anniversary team. Because he is a champion, because he is a winner, because he is one of the greatest in his generation. The only thing about Kawhi is he gets hurt. And they're not fake injuries. And they're not injuries that he make up so he doesn't have to play. They're real injuries. And we've seen it happen. So let's go to the timeline. He was drafted in 2011. He was put on a team where they had championship caliber. He went to the Spurs. He was on the Spurs with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili, and an all-time great coach, Greg Popovich. Greg Popovich, if you watch enough Spurs games, you see that he doesn't prioritize scoring. He prioritizes playing together and defense. When a rookie Kawhi came on the team, do you think that he was just allowed to shoot as much as he wants on that type of team? No, we're trying to get rings. We're not trying to pad stats. So in the first 4 years, we can just wash those years away, because although his scoring is getting better and he won a Defensive Player of the Year during those first 4 years, and he won a ring during those first 4 years, and he won a Finals MVP during those first 4 years, he wasn't really Kawhi that people know yet. He wasn't really a superstar. He wasn't trying to score like that. What he was doing is playing defense and just playing good basketball. That is what led him to get the Defensive Player of the Year, and that is what led him to get the Finals MVP. I know there are some people that say, oh, he didn't lock down LeBron. Why was he Finals MVP? But isn't there a clip that people always like to use when they speak about Kawhi, where they show LeBron turning his head, seeing Kawhi come in, and he's like, damn. It shows the impact of Kawhi's defense. You're not going to stop none of the greatest players. You're not. You can slow them down, and you can do your best to make some shots that they will make easily tougher. So the first 4 years is not what I'm going to talk about a lot, because he's not Kawhi yet. Because he's not the Kawhi that people know of yet. Then you get to the 5th year. His 5th year is when he starts to become Kawhi. It's when he starts to be able to shoot more. It's when he starts to lead the team. The Spurs is now Kawhi's team. He averaged 21 points. He won his 2nd Defensive Player of the Year. He was on the first all-defensive team and the first all-offensive team. And he was 2nd in MVP votes. The person who won MVP that year was Steph Curry, and he won it unanimous. It was a tough year. He was not going to win MVP, but he was 2nd. And to be second in that year when it was unanimous, come on, y'all gotta give him credit for that. But y'all don't. Y'all don't give him credit for being second place. It's okay. Y'all don't have to. Then you go to 2016. And this year is the year that people need to remember about Kawhi. This is when Kawhi became Kawhi. The year before, Kawhi is starting to become who we know he is. And the Spurs is finally his team. But he's not Kawhi yet. 2016, he's Kawhi. He's the Kawhi that people are saying is overrated. He's the Kawhi that can change a franchise. He is Kawhi at this moment, and he's averaging 25 points in the regular season, and he's averaging 27.7 points in the playoffs. He's cooking. In the first round of the playoffs, he beat Memphis. In the second round, he beat the Rockets. Yes, the Rockets that had James Harden, who was cooking everybody except for Golden State. You know another team they weren't cooking? They weren't cooking the Spurs. They were not. Once Kawhi became Kawhi, they were not cooking the Spurs. And a lot of you guys respect Harden, right? He could not beat Kawhi. He couldn't. When Kawhi was Kawhi, playing on both sides, averaging 25 and then going on defense and locking people down, James Harden didn't beat him. And he plays Golden State. And it's not the regular Golden State. It's the super team Golden State. It's the Golden State with KD, Steph, Clay, Draymond. That Golden State. The super team Golden State. And you know what Kawhi was doing against that team? In the first half, you know what the score was? It was 62-42. Kawhi had 18 and was the best player on the court. Yes, he was the best player on the court. The guy that don't talk, the guy with the funny laugh, he was the best player on the court. He get to the third quarter. He plays 3 minutes and 32 seconds before Zaza goes under him when he's shooting.
Leonard fires from the corner. And Leonard
hurts his leg. And that is when Kawhi becomes this injury prone, and that is where injuries start to happen. It's Zaza Pachulia, that whack ass, I don't even know where he's from. He is garbage. He is the reason why you guys want to talk about Kawhi's injury so much. After that, his knee is finished. It's always hurt. It's always sore. You always end up seeing him limping. It's because of that game. After those 3 minutes in the third quarter, do you know what happened? Golden State sweep the Spurs because Kawhi is not there no more. So they kill the Spurs. You know what was happening when Kawhi was in the game? I will say it again. In the first half, the Spurs were beating the super team Golden State by 20 points. 20 points. That is one reason why people talk about Kawhi when he's healthy like that. Because when he is healthy, he is him. He is Kawhi Leonard, the Claw, the Silent Assassin, whatever you want to call him. He is Kawhi. 2017, Kawhi is still hurt, but that's when the Spurs and Kawhi, they get into like this back and forth where they saying he's not hurt, where they saying he could be able to play, and Kawhi's like, I'm still hurt. And clearly he was still hurt because then the next season he goes to Toronto. And you know what he does in Toronto? All I gotta show is one video, and you know what he did when he was with Toronto.
to Leonard, defended by Simmons. Is this the dagger? 15 fourth quarter points by Kawhi Leonard.
He smoked people. He was even hurt that year. He's still not fully healthy yet. In the year that he won that chip and he was killing teams. The year when he went to Toronto, he only played like 60 games, and that was like a big thing. Oh, he's low managing. Another thing that happened because of Kawhi. And that alone shows the impact of Kawhi. One, Zaza Pachulia foul, it became a thing that gets people automatic flagrants, and it became a staple in the NBA. That's the foul that made it clear that people have to stop going under shooters when they are shooting. That is the impact of Kawhi. Then the load management. That became a thing that Kawhi became a staple for. And if you guys want to make it seem like I'm just giving him a bunch of praise, I've seen there's articles where people are talking about load management. You know who is the face of load management? Kawhi. Because when he went to Toronto and he was killing every team in front of him, he only played 60 games. He averaged 26.6 during the regular season. Then he went to the playoffs and he averaged 30.5 points. He beat Orlando. They were a whack team. Let's not talk about them. He beat Philadelphia. You know the video that I was speaking about when I talked about Kawhi in 2018? Yes, that video. And for you guys that don't remember, that Philadelphia team was a real team. It wasn't no slouch team. They went 7 games for a reason. That team had Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, J.J. Redick, Ben Simmons when he was actually Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid was still Joel Embiid during that time. And you know what Kawhi did? Joel Embiid crying to his locker room because of that shot. I've seen the shot over 30 million times because of what Kawhi did. He is a great. He's not overrated. That 1 year, it's 2 years that can sum up how great Kawhi is. 2016, 2018. They just sum it up perfectly because they show that when he was fully healthy, he's fully on the floor, you see what he can do. And 2016, it showed what caused him to now be this injury-prone player. Then 2018 shows that you put Kawhi on the team and he's fully healthy and he can fully engage with that team and he can win them a chip. So after he beat Philly, a good team, he went on to beat Giannis. And he smoked Giannis and he guarded Giannis. Kawhi is him. It's no ifs, ands, or buts. He smoked Philly, a great team. He smoked Giannis, another great team. Somebody that y'all consider a great player. Kawhi smoked him as well. Then he went on to face the super team Golden State Warriors again. And I know y'all want to put an asterisk by that finals, but the same way KD and Klay got injured in that finals, Kawhi got injured in 2016 versus this Golden State when he was on the Spurs. Y'all don't put an asterisk next to the Golden State winning. Regardless if y'all put an asterisk or not. He went to the finals and they won the chip. They beat that team. That team still had Steph, it still had Draymond, and it still had a bunch of other good players. They even had DeMarcus Cousins. I don't care if DeMarcus Cousins was the greatest DeMarcus Cousins or a watered down DeMarcus Cousins. They still had DeMarcus Cousins. That team, before it got injured, had KD, Draymond, Steph, Klay, and DeMarcus Cousins. They took 2 out because they got injured, KD and Klay. That team is still good. They just wasn't good enough, and they lost. And Kawhi got another ring, and he got another Finals MVP. So by 2018, he's a 2-time champ, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, and 2 times Final MVP. And he did it on 2 separate teams. I don't know about y'all, but that seems legendary. That seems like a person that is a great in their generation, and he's going against great competition. 2019, he goes to the Clippers. And because Kawhi went from the Spurs to Toronto and he won a championship in that 1 year, they expected the same thing. And I'm not going to lie. A lot of people expected that. So I won't even be mad. I consider 2019 Kawhi's first blemish on his career because they beat Dallas in a great series. Luka was cooking, but Kawhi was cooking more. Every time outside of this most recent year when Kawhi was hurt in the playoffs, every time Dallas faced the Clippers, Kawhi was giving them the business. He was getting Luka off that floor. 2019. He cooked them. Check the stats. Then after beating Luka in Dallas, they went on to play the Denver Nuggets. They were up 3-1. And this is why I say this is a blemish and this is fair. If you want to say Kawhi was whack for this, I'll give it to you. They were up 3-1 and they choked. There's a whole bunch of excuses. Oh, they didn't want to be there. I'm not going to give them that excuse. It's a blemish. It was a bad performance for Kawhi. Kawhi should have won that series, and they should have went to the conference finals and played the Lakers. But they choked the 3-1 lead, and it's a blemish on Kawhi's career. I will give you that. Now let's go to 2020. Kawhi sees Dallas again, and you know what Kawhi does? Put belt to ass. He beat Luka again. Smoked him. He was averaging 32.1 points versus Dallas and Luka on 61% from the field, 42% from 3, and 89.8% from the free throw line. He was cooking. He was cooking that year. The only thing that could stop him is what? We'll talk about it in the next round. Then they go to Utah. Kawhi plays 4 out of the 6 games. You know why he plays 4 out of the 6 games? Because Joe Ingles, when Kawhi is dribbling the ball, he bumps into Kawhi, and you know what happened to Kawhi? Kawhi tore his ACL. Should that be a blemish that he gets injured? If that's a blemish that he got injured, then it should be a blemish on KD when he got injured. Then it should be a blemish on Westbrook when he got injured. Or a blemish on LeBron when he got injured. I don't see y'all doing that for no other players. Players get injured. He got injured. He tore his ACL. But before he tore his ACL, you want to know what he was doing in that playoff series? He was averaging 27.3 on 53% from the field, 33% from the three-point line, and 84.6% from the free throw line. But he tore his ACL that year, so they didn't win. So since he was with the Clippers, the first year, it was a bad performance. They choked the 3-1 lead. That's bad. The second year, ACL. The third year, he's out for the whole season because he has an ACL injury. So that's 3 years. Then the fourth year that he's with the Clippers, in 2022, he's averaging 23.8 during the regular season. They go to the playoffs. In the first round, he only plays 2 games. But in those 2 games, you know what he does versus the Phoenix Suns? The first game, he looks like peak Kawhi. He puts up 38 points versus KD and was guarding KD, getting steals on KD. He cooked KD that game.
Powell to the corner, 3-pointer.
Kawhi at one end, Durant gets a modern 3 at the other end, and then
Kawhi Leonard for 3. Oh, back.
Second game, he gets 31 points. But he's hurt after that game. He doesn't play anymore, and the Clippers lose. So that is 4 years with the Clippers. Out of the 4 years, 3 years he is injured. And I guess y'all want to blame him for that? Okay, go ahead. Blame him. But all I know is that every time he's on the court, outside of one of those years, when they choked the 3-1 lead, he is cooking. And even when they choked the 3-1 lead, do you know that Kawhi was still cooking on that team? They just didn't close it out. And again, that's a blemish on his career. I'll take it. That is a blemish on his career. It's a bad performance. He deserves to be critiqued for that. But the other 3 years, he's injured. What do you want him to do? Then, 2023. During the regular season, he's averaging 23.7 points. And he's playing the most regular season games he's played in a long time. He played like 68 games. Then he goes to the playoffs. He only plays 2 games because he is hurt. Again. So I understand. Y'all want to say that he's overrated because he's injury prone. All I'm going to let you know is that, yes, I'll give you the point. He's injury prone. But what can he do about being injury prone? What can he do about being injured? Y'all didn't want him to load manage because when he was load managing, y'all was like, oh, he's load managing. That's not fair. Then he played a whole bunch of games and he ended up getting injured because it's too much stress on his knee. And then y'all get mad at him for being injured. So he can't win either way. When he's on the court, he is one of the greatest players in the league. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I heard someone critique him for winning his chips with good teams. What is he supposed to do? He got drafted to the Spurs. Is he not supposed to be a good player? And it's not like he's on the team and he's just sitting on the bench. He got the finals MVP for both of the years that he won the ring. He was doing something. He was impactful. And on the Toronto team, he was carrying them. Somebody tried to compare him to DeRozan, Paul George, and Jimmy Butler.
DeMar DeRozan, you got Jimmy Butler, and you got Paul George living in his shadow because of things he did with good teams.
And that's the next thing we want to talk about. So now we're going to talk about the people that they want to compare him to. The Paul George, Jimmy Butler, and DeRozan. As you can see, all of them have similar playoff stats. But these stats lie to you. They all have similar playoff stats, but only one has the stat that matters the most. He has the 2 rings and the 2 final MVP. Also, he has the 2 defensive player of the years. None of them have that. And when Kawhi is the one to carry the team, he actually got his team to a win. DeRozan had the same team that Kawhi had in 2018 because they was traded for each other. Kawhi took them to a chip. DeRozan couldn't take them to the chip. He couldn't. And I know y'all going to say, oh, he had to play LeBron. Whose fault is that? When Kawhi was dealt the cards of the Toronto Raptors, he took the cards that he was dealt and he got championships from them. These other players, they had the same opportunities. Paul George been to the playoffs 11 times. Jimmy Butler been to the playoffs 11 times. DeMar DeRozan been to the playoffs 7 times. Kawhi been to the playoffs 11 times. They all had at least 7 chances in the playoffs. And the only person that came out of that victorious with rings is Kawhi. And to be honest, although these numbers are close, when you really look at it, in the playoffs that really matter, I see Kawhi playing better than all of them. You can't count on Paul George because he's up and down. You can't count on Jimmy Butler because he's not as good of a scorer as none of them. You can't count on DeMar because DeMar only shoots mid-range shots and he can't lead a team. It doesn't matter if he's vocal or not vocal. All 3 of these players are more vocal than Kawhi. But yet, when Kawhi's on the team, they actually feel like they could win and they actually do something. When the team is actually put on Kawhi's shoulders, we see what happens. And that is why these 3 players, although y'all might like their game better, they may talk more, they may not get as injured as Kawhi, Kawhi is better than them. He's better than them. He has the rings to show it. And all of them had similar opportunities. But it only looks like one person has the rings and the finals MVPs. And when Kawhi was on a team with Paul George, Kawhi was carrying him. So look, we have 2 examples. Kawhi was on a team with Paul George. Kawhi was carrying him. Kawhi was on a team that DeRozan had, and Kawhi took them to a chip. DeRozan didn't take them to a chip. Jimmy Butler took his team to a championship in the bubble, but they didn't win. So whose fault is it that Kawhi is better? Nobody. It's not nobody's fault that Kawhi is better. He just shows up and he does what he has to do. And I trust Kawhi more than I trust those other players. And y'all can lie in the comments and say that y'all don't trust Kawhi over those other players, but we all know what's true. When Kawhi is healthy, he's better than all those players. And the only players that are in any competition with him are KD, Steph, and LeBron. And you know what thing about those 3 players? He beat LeBron when he was with the Spurs. He beat KD when he was on Toronto. He beat Steph when he was on Toronto. And Kawhi in 2016 almost beat KD and Steph on their super team when they were fully healthy before Zaza Pachulia did that bullshit. So I don't want to hear none of this Kawhi's overrated stuff. Kawhi is him. And Kawhi's my favorite player. So if y'all don't like it, y'all don't like it. But I'm just going to let y'all know I'm repping Kawhi. And although Kawhi be getting hurt, I'm still rooting for him. When he retire, he will retire. But I'm not forcing my bro to retire. I'm not saying, yo, you need to retire. Play when you want to play. And when you're healthy, kill these niggas. Because they can't fuck with you. Thanks for watching. It's Tony from the It's Tony podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend to tell a friend. I'll see y'all in the next video.